Here's how to perform a reality check for lucid dreaming. Reality checks, also known as reality tests, lucidity checks, or nows, are one of the most important lucid dreaming techniques. They're the way that you realize that you're dreaming when you're dreaming by asking the question, could this be a dream right now? But how do you ask that question correctly? So the first thing you need to know is when to perform a reality check. Now, it's not as obvious as it might seem at first glance. Most people think you perform a reality check when something weird or dreamlike happens, but that's not quite exactly right. The reason you keep a regular dream journal is to understand what your dreams are like and what you are like in your dreams. So the longer you keep a dream journal, the more you'll understand what you dream about and how you think and feel in your dreams. So what you're doing here is understanding the nature of dreams and finding targets for your reality checks during waking hours. So let's say you often dream about feeling anxious. Whenever you feel anxious in waking life, you'll perform a reality check, but it will be unique to you and it will change with time. This is why it's so important to keep a dream journal, because a dream journal gives you your targets for daytime reality checks. So essentially, you perform a reality check whenever your waking life matches your environment, thoughts, or feelings from your dreams. And the reason you do that is because if you attach a reality check to those things and they're things you dream about often, then you will perform through habit a reality check within your dreams and have a lucid dream. So there's multiple things happening here. Firstly, you're becoming observant of your dreams and understanding the nature of them, and then you're finding the targets within those to apply to your waking life. Then when you wake up in the morning, you set the prospective memory task and observation task that for the rest of the day, you're going to look for those targets and be triggered into performing a reality check whenever these targets bubble up. How many reality checks should I be performing in an average day? There's no standard number for that. The whole point of reality checks as a lucid dreaming technique is to be observant of your waking life. So because your dreams and waking life tend to have similar themes, you dream about what happens to you and your concerns, etc., those things should be relatively common in your waking life hours. So a ballpark figure is between 10 to 20 reality checks a day, but don't treat that as a gospel rule. The most important thing is you're observant and ready to perform a check whenever something matches the content of your dreams. How do you perform a reality check correctly? Well, most people skip this and do a really basic version, which isn't the right way to do it. They either try to put their finger through their palm, pinch their nose and try to breathe through it, or something really straightforward and quick. But a reality check isn't performed just for a test. The entire point of a reality check is to engage your prefrontal cortex. Now, that is the part of the brain that is used for planning, logic, and critical thinking skills. And that is the part of the brain we need to activate in our dreams in order for the dream to become lucid. Or in other words, there's no point performing a test if your brain is such a potato brain that you won't understand the results. So the first thing we need to do when performing a reality check is to stop doing whatever we're doing, to take a step back, and to start to think critically. And a very simple way to engage your prefrontal cortex is to ask a question. And a good question to ask is, how dreamlike is this current situation? Now, if you've just been triggered into performing a reality check, then there's a certain amount of dreamlike energy to that event. So let's say you often dream of anxiety, and during waking hours you feel a bit of anxiety, and you think, yes, now is the time to reality check because I'm feeling anxiety and I dream about that often. So already you know that it's somewhat dreamlike, and this should create a bit of doubt in your mind. So look around and ask yourself, how dreamlike is this current scenario? Be really observant, treat it as a puzzle, really critically analyze your current experience, asking, could this be a dream right now? How dreamlike is this current event? And if you are actually dreaming, at this point you'll realize it's a dream. You won't need to go any further because there'll be something glaringly obvious out there proving that it's a dream. But if you're awake, and sometimes when you're dreaming, you're going to have this feeling that, yeah, of course I'm awake, of course this is waking life. ignore that feeling, because that feeling tells you nothing about whether you're dreaming or not. That's just a very ingrained habit that we all think about the nature of this current moment. So a way to counter that is to ask another question. Feel that feeling, yeah, obviously I'm awake, and then ask yourself, could I be wrong? Could I be wrong? Induce doubt about your gut instinct, and then look at the environment again. Could I be wrong? Could this actually be a dream? The whole point of this first step is to engage critical thinking prefrontal cortex skills, but if you find that your brain is still a bit potatoey, still a bit cloudy, you might want to do something a little bit more active, so you could set yourself some mathematical puzzles. Maybe pick 3 random numbers and then add them together, something which requires the prefrontal cortex to activate and gets you thinking. And it's only at this point, once the prefrontal cortex has been activated, that you should consider performing a test. The tests are basically a backup in case the prefrontal cortex activation and observation hasn't cued you in to realizing that you're dreaming, because in some dreams the environment and your feelings will be very stable. So the tests are a backup, they're not the central point of a reality check. Now there are 2 very simple tests you can perform which are pretty reliable, not 100% reliable, that should act as a backup and cue you into realizing you're dreaming if you are dreaming. Now those are the nose pinch test and the text stability test. Now the nose pinch test is simply pinch your nose and try to breathe through it. If you're dreaming, you'll be able to breathe through your pinched nose, but pay really close attention to how that feels. So what I'd recommend doing is pinch your nose, try to breathe through it, stop, breathe through your unpinched nose, and then do the test again. Then the second test is to find some text or some numbers in your environment, look at them, look away, look back. Have they stayed the same? Is there any difference? If they've changed, you're dreaming. If they're stable, you're probably not. Perform both of these tests and pay attention to the results. Don't just quickly skip over them, give your full attention, and remember there's only 2 answers. Yes, I'm dreaming, or no, I'm not. If at any point during these tests or the entire process you feel any doubt whatsoever about the results, then you're probably dreaming. When you perform a reality check during waking life, normally the answer is very clear. But if you have any doubt whatsoever, it's almost certain that you're dreaming. So what do you do if you've performed the entire reality check and you've discovered that you're not dreaming? Well, firstly, pat yourself on the back for being a good lucid dreamer and doing the required work, but the check isn't over just yet. When you've realized that you're not dreaming, look around your environment. Ask yourself, what would I do if I had realized I was dreaming right now? How would I make the most of this current environment? What would be an exciting thing to do? If you have a dream goal, then choose how you would do that in your current environment, but also you could just look around and go, well, I'd like to go and talk to that person, I'd like to go and fly over there. Really analyze and get excited about the potential of your upcoming dreams and what you'll be able to do. The purpose of this is twofold. Firstly, you want to be analytical of your environment and creative, so that you really start to think in the way you would be thinking if you were dreaming. But secondly, this helps to keep you motivated. Thinking about the potential of your future lucid dreams and what is available to you really helps to keep you going for the rest of your lucid dreaming training. And another way to motivate yourself and be inspired for your lucid dream training is to watch one of the videos on the screen right now. I'll see you there.